Hare Krishna, everyone, and welcome back once again to our continuing lectures on the glories of our most beloved Sri Vrindavan Dham. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane, Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Pacharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, Paschatya Deshatarane. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we are continuing with our mini-series on Stimulation for Ecstatic Love, and this will be part 52. In this lecture, I would like to speak on Krishna's Kaustubha jewel, which, as we all know, hangs around his neck and rests on his lotus chest. We mentioned it actually several times in our last lecture about the Srivatsa mark on Krishna's chest. We actually quoted Srimad Bhagavatam 3:28-14, wherein it stated, quote, "His chest has the mark of Srivatsa, and the brilliant Kaustubha gem hangs around his neck." Srimad Bhagavatam. In fact, the relationship between the two is actually quite intimate, as explained by Sridhar Swami in his commentary to Srimad Bhagavatam 12:11-10. He writes, "Tasya Kaustubhasya Prabhanam Cha eva Shri Vatsam Bibharati." The illumination of the Kaustubha gem is reflected in Krishna's soft Srivatsa hair. The illumination of the Kaustubha gem is reflected in Krishna's soft Srivatsa hair. So let's go into some detail about this mysterious gem. The Sanskrit dictionary Amara Kosha states that the term ku refers to the earth, and the verbal root shtub refers to spreading or pervading. So that jewel whose influence pervades the entire earth is known as Kaustubha. Another meaning is that Kaustubha refers to that which covers the earth, literally meaning the oceans, since they pervade the earth. Thus the acharyas say, the jewel born from that Kaustubha ocean is known as Kaustubha. During the churning of the ocean, this jewel was produced as one of the opulences manifested by the ocean. Now, a nice detail about this gem is given in the Kramadipika 3:11. That book was written by Sri Keshava Kashmiri, and he writes, "Kaustubhyam bhanu mantam." Kaustubha is the effulgence of the sun. Kaustubha is of the effulgence of the sun. Literally, he writes. Now here's a really nice detail, but you have to listen carefully. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, one of our great heroes, says in his commentary to Srimad Bhagavatam 2:2-10, "Kaustubha ratnam tad gari tita hiranmaya shruta sahitam." The Kaustubha gem is always to be understood as being accompanied by the golden lace that binds it to Bhagavan's neck. That's interesting because we learned that the Kaustubha gem hangs around Krishna's neck by a golden lace. Somebody might inquire, how's it hanging there? Well, there's the answer. Now, again, Srila Sridhar Swami remarks on the Kaustubha gem hanging on the chest of Krishna by a golden lace in a very poetic way, like poetry captures our minds. In his commentary to Srimad Bhagavatam 3:8-30, he writes poetically, "The Kaustubha makes an appearance on Bhagavan's form just as gems make an appearance on great mountains." The Kaustubha makes an appearance on Bhagavan's form just as gems make an appearance on great mountains. Now in Ananda Vrindavan Champu 22:25, our Kavi Kanapur gives us a hint of the color of the Kaustubha gem. He writes, "Kaustubha rashmi pura shona yamana vara moktika." And the word shona yamana literally means reddened. And I did a lot of research, you can see. In Krishna Bhavanamrita, 1265, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, the Kaustubha gem defeats the rising sun and moon and pervades the universe with redness. So there we have two confirmations. It's reddish. The Kaustubha gem defeats the rising sun and moon and pervades the universe with redness. Now, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also gives a wonderful, a wonderful twist to this list of nectar. He writes, in his commentary to Srimad Bhagavatam 3:28-26, and you have to listen carefully. He writes, Kaustubha manir apiyena bhushita shat tam katam. It is actually the Lord's neck that decorates the Kaustubha, not the other way. Usually the gem decorates the neck, but Bhagavan is so beautiful that it appears as if his neck decorates the Kaustubha gem. We've heard that before in some of our previous classes. Wow. And I found in my research that Madhvacharya, Sripad Madhvacharya, has also mentioned the Kaustubha jewel in his commentary to Srimad Bhagavatam 3:15-19. He writes, Kaustubha Brahmano Rupam, Kaustubha Brahmano Rupam. Kaustubha is the personification of the impersonal Brahman. We're getting different commentaries here. All perfect. Kaustubha is the personification of the impersonal Brahman. Another wow. And once again, we hear from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who reveals a deep secret about Kaustubha, as he puts it, in his commentary to Srimad Bhagavatam 3:28-28. Therein he writes, Kaustubhyas yaiva nanta kirana jiva. It's really interesting. The unlimited rays of the Kaustubha gem are actually unlimited living entities. I found that quite amazing. And it's confirmed in Gopal Tapani Upanishad. Gopal Tapani Upanishad, verse 67, where it says, Tejas Sva Swarupina. By its essence, its light, the Kaustubha is the shelter of all jivas. By its essence, is how it's put, its light, the Kaustubha is the shelter of all jivas. Wow. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, again 3:28-28, it says, the Kaustubha jewel on Krishna's neck represents Jiva Tattva, Chaityasya Tattvam. And one last verse in this connection. Srimad Bhagavatam 12:11-10 says, upon his chest, the almighty unborn Bhagavan Hari wears the Kaustubha gem, which represents the pure spirit soul. Wow. Now, it's important to mention here a point I've come across multiple times in my research, and that is that the devotees of the Lord in Vaikuntha who have forms similar to him, that's called Sarupya, they may have a conch, a chakra, a club, etc., but none of them have the Srivatsa mark or the Kaustubha jewel. These two items, which we're discussing because they act as a stimulus for ecstatic love in the hearts of Krishna Bhaktas, are actually unique to the Lord. Last Friday, a previous lecture, I mentioned in his purport to Srimad Bhagavatam 6:930, Srila Prabhupada confirms this. He writes, in Vaikuntha Loka, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has 4 hands and decorations like the Srivatsa mark on his chest and the gem known as Kaustubha. These are special indications of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord's personal attendants and other devotees of Vaikuntha have the same features except for the Srivatsa mark and the Kaustubha gem. Just want to make that clear, because we mentioned it about the Srivatsa mark, so make it clear about the Kaustubha gem as well. Now, another point we have discussed is that although the paraphernalia of the Lord is eternal, and thus always with him. When he descends for pastimes in the material world, such paraphernalia manifest to him in various ways as part of his leelas or pastimes in this world. Now, for example, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states in his commentary to Srimad Bhagavatam 10:1665 that when Krishna defeated Kaliya, his wives brought many valuable jewels as gifts to offer to Krishna, and the Kaustuba was one of them. So in this way, the eternal Kaustuba gem made its appearance in Krishna Leela in Vrindavan through the hands of the wives of Kaliya. Now in Radha Krishna Gunadishya Dipika, Lagu, 131, our beloved Sri Rupa Goswami confirms this fact as follows. He writes, Kaliya entered the depths of his lake and offered the gem named Kaustuba through his wives. Kaliya entered into the depths of his lake and offered the gem named Kaustuba through his wives. So that eternal gem manifested 5,000 years ago in Krishna's pastimes in that particular way. And Srila Baladev Vidyabhushana also adds one more detail to this pastime in his commentary to Srimad Bhagavatam 10:16-66. He says, the Kaustuba, which was present on the four-handed Vasudeva form during Krishna's birth, then manifested itself in Kaliya's lake, and then was offered to Krishna through the wives of Kaliya. It's all tied together. Now, just a few more tasty details before we relate some pastimes. Srila Jiva Goswami says in his Lagu Vaishnava Toshani commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, on 10:56-9, he writes, although the glowing Kaustuba is present on Bhagavan's chest, it only glows when desired by Bhagavan. Although the glowing Kaustuba is present on Bhagavan's chest, it only glows when desired by Bhagavan, by Krishna. And Srila Rupa Goswami, in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.157, he writes that the Kaustuba gem can defeat many hosts of suns, yet by Bhagavan's desire, it doesn't manifest its full effulgence. The Kaustuba gem can defeat many hosts of suns, yet by Bhagavan's desire, it doesn't manifest its full effulgence. Now, of course, we could go on with so many verses. I quoted many verses and many details. Why? Because our acharyas have written numerous literatures, actually, about the Kaustuba jewel. Before I started preparing this talk, I didn't know very much about Kaustuba, but I just realized there's so many references to Kaustuba jewel in the writings of our acharyas. Examples I found in my research include the Alankara Kaustuba of Sri Kavikarnapura. There's a lot more information there. And the Chanda Kaustuba of Sri Radha Damodar Goswami, who was the Diksha Guru of Baladev Vidyabhushana. Both those scriptures, but I think we've had enough scriptural references to the Kaustuba jewel. Now for a very beautiful pastime involving the Kaustuba gem. Our beloved Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes in his book, Sri Stava Amrita Lahari. Sri Stava Amrita Lahari. In there's a chapter called Swapna Vilas Amrita. Swapna Vilas Amrita. That translates as the nectarian pastime dream. It's about a dream Srimati Radharani had one night when she fell asleep in Nidhivan. And when she woke up the next morning, she told Krishna about her dream. A dream that had both, it's described, enchanted her heart, but left her bewildered at the same time. She said to Krishna, my dear Krishna, I just had the most unusual dream. A golden complexioned Brahmana was dancing and singing in the midst of a multitude of people along the bank of a river. Sometimes he called out, "O Krishna," and sometimes he sighed, "O Radha, where are you?" Sometimes he fell to the ground, sometimes he acted wildly, losing all composure, and sometimes he danced ecstatically with his loving associates. He has made all the residents of this world, from the blades of grass up to Lord Brahma, loudly call out the name Krishna. I felt drawn to him. And because he sometimes cried out, "O Radha," I thought he could only be you. But the next moment he called out, O Krishna," just as I called out for you. I was forced to wonder if this effulgent Brahmana could somehow be me. But now I'm confused. If that Brahmana was you, then where was I? And if he was me, then where were you? So Krishna took Radha's hand and started to tease her. He said, "O Kutakini," it's a beautiful name for someone. "O Kutakini" means my curious one. In the past, you have seen so many of my incarnations, Narayan, Varaha, Nrsimha, without being confused. It really is puzzling that you can't identify this Brahman. You've seen so many of my incarnations, so I think it's puzzling that you can't identify this Brahmana. Then something amazing happened. Krishna touched the Kaustubha jewel on his chest, and Radha suddenly saw her dream unfolding within the Kaustubha gem. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he writes, it's actually text 5. At that moment, the Kaustubha gem, knowing the meaning behind all this, began to shine. As soon as it did so, all the details of the dream were completely revealed. As it did so, all the details of the dream were completely revealed. And Vishwanath goes on to write, and because the Kaustubha gem revealed everything, Radharani realized the Brahmana in her dream was Krishna. Radharani realized the Brahmana in her dream was Krishna. Not only Krishna, but the Brahmana was her as well. Vishwanath quotes Radharani actually in text 6. Beloved, I now know what is in your heart and makes you smile. You are he, and I am also he. In other words, what was her realization? It was that Radha and Krishna had become one person, in the personality of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the golden avatar, who would appear one day in Kali Yuga and flood the world with the nectar of the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare, as confirmed. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radhe Krishna Nahi Anga. That the Supreme Lord was originally one, but then he became two, as Radha and Krishna, and he again became one in the personality of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radhe Krishna Nahi Anga. Now, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela 1:6. The loving affairs of Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. Although Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, previously they separated themselves. Now these two transcendental identities have again become united in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. More confirmation from Chaitanya Charitamrita. He goes on to say, I bow down to him who has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radharani, although he is Krishna himself. So at this point, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he goes on to write just how Sri Radha concluded that the golden-colored Brahmana in her dream was Krishna. He writes that she understood this because she remembered Gargamuni's statement at Krishna's name-giving ceremony that this baby Krishna will appear one day as an incarnation with a yellowish golden complexion. And then he writes in the voice of Radharani speaking to Krishna. She speaks like this. In the king of Braja's presence, the learned Vedic scholar Gargacharya said that you will appear with a yellow complexion. He did not lie, so this dream of mine is true. It's not an illusion. In this dream, I've directly seen you. So Vishwanath concludes in text 9 of Swapna Vilasamrita. If the bumblebee of the reader's mind drinks the nectar of this Swapna Vilas Amrita, then that intelligent reader will quickly awaken from the dream of materialistic doubt. Such a reader will attain Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He will sport in the ocean of pure love. He will attain the peerless mercy of the King of Vrindavan. So nice. And one very famous devotee praises Radha and Krishna. To experience the utmost intimacy, Radha and Krishna united in one form within a grove of Nidhivan and played the flute. Adopting that form and mood, the Lord of Vishwarupa has appeared in Nadia. That's so deep. To experience the utmost intimacy, Radha and Krishna have united in one form within a grove of Nidhivan and played the flute. Adopting that form and mood, the Lord of Vishwarupa, Chaitanya, has appeared in Nadia. Connecting Krishna Lila and Gaur Lila. Anyway, so after this discussion about the dream, Radha and Krishna talked about their combined appearance as Lord Chaitanya and his blessings upon the world. It's described until their girlfriends joined them in Nidhivan. Wow. Such a sweet and profound pastime, deep, but I hope I spoke on it in such a way we could all understand and relish. And if we think about it, all of us have received those blessings of Lord Chaitanya that the Acharyas have mentioned in their writings. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati writes in his Viveka Satakam. It's one of my favorite books, actually, Viveka Satakam. It's described as 100 verses of wisdom. In chapter 1, entitled Sri Chaitanya Chidrastakam. Sri Chaitanya Chidrastakam. Text number 3, he writes as follows. When the moon-like Lord Gauranga appeared in Godadesh, glass became gold. Gold became a philosopher's stone. Vaidurya gems produced similar matchless jewels, and crows became like Garuda. Crooked, ugly trees became sandalwood trees, and barren trees became wish-fulfilling trees. Is this all not wonderful? Is this all not wonderful? Hare Krishna. Wow. So I would like to finish today with a meditation, which we can all memorize, a meditation on who we are and what we want to be, what we want to become. Almost like these days people have mission statements. It's written by a most learned and devoted Brajabasi. I just love this verse. Having accepted the renounced order of life, my home is this Vrindavan forest. My bed is the soft dust of Vrindavan. The sky of Vrindavan is my blanket, and the flowering creepers of Vrindavan are my only belongings. The moon over Vrindavan is the lamp of my hopes, and my chanting beads are counting the days until I meet the divine couple, Shri Shri, Radha and Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. We've learned so much today about the Kaustubha jewels. So throughout your daily activities, Shmaranam, try to remember some of the details and the pastimes of this wonderful stimulus for ecstatic love in the hearts of devotees. And we'll be back next Friday. Thank you so much. Shri Shri Gauranitai ki, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Shri Shri Radha Shama Sundar ki, Vrindavaneshwari Srimati Radharani ki, Mayapur Dham ki, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki, Shri Krishna Sankirtan Yagya ki, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Jai Jai Sisi Radhe Shyam. Glories to Shri